Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Alex's Notes from the Middle. I am your host, Alex Light, and I really hope that you have all had a great week since we last connected. Before I get started today, I just want to pay homage to this amazing uh, cat shirt, my, my new cat shirt. My boyfriend was going through his stuff and saw this shirt, and he was like, I think I'm going to donate that. And I said, No, you are not. It's my shirt now. And it's long enough I might turn it into a dress. We'll see. But it is my shirt now, and I'm very, very happy with it. So meow meow buckaroos. Pew pew, meow meow. I'm here for it. All right, so this week is kind of a tough one for me because I did something wrong. And I always said I was going to be authentic and be truthful and be raw with all of you. And so that is what I'm going to do today. This past week, I had somebody contact me for a potential client meeting. And once somebody contacts me and we sit down for a meeting, they are no longer um, on the level of being able to have a friendship with because I set a boundary when I was in life coaching classes that I was not going to cross friendship with life coaching. It's just not something that typically ends well. You don't make friends with your therapist. Don't make friends with my clients. It's how it has to be. I'm there to support my clients, yes, but I'm it's like a one directional thing. They're not helping me at all or anything like that. So it's a one directional relationship where I'm like, let me help you be the best that you can be, but I do draw a line where it's like, no, now that person cannot be a friend. And when we sat down and we started talking, it's very clear that this person could really use life coaching and could really use, you know, the confidence to know that they deserve happiness. They deserve a good relationship. They deserve a great job. They deserve the life of their dreams because we all do, right? And it was also pretty clear that this person wanted a friend. And I did not respect my boundaries. And I was like, well, maybe we could go to a concert or something sometime. Or maybe now you have a friend. And I shouldn't have said that. And I did. And then afterwards, I started fretting about it. And I felt terrible. And I really sat on it for a long time because I didn't know how to approach this person because I don't want them thinking that it's their fault or their doing. It was totally me. It was me disrespecting my boundaries. And I shouldn't have done that. And I feel really bad about it. But I feel like we've all been there, where we did something in our lives and we did not respect a boundary that we had set, even if that person was unaware. Um, it's a boundary, and I let my people pleasing side disrespect a boundary I had set, and man, the guilt that just flooded through me because I had to end up telling this person, "Hey, I am really sorry, but I unfortunately I cannot be the friend that you're seeking. I have already spoken with you on a level where you were a potential client, and it's a boundary that I set, and I have to respect my own boundaries, and I want you to know it's not you. It's me in this situation." And that I know when people hear that, no, it's not you, it's me. No, it was really me because I knew better and I'm still learning and I'm still growing, right? So I tried my best to tell them in the best way possible, like, I'm so sorry, but unfortunately, like, we cannot be friends. And it hurt to tell somebody that because the people pleasing side of me is like, no, that's like, I feel so bad for saying that. And this person needs to understand, like, they're worthy of friends and they should have friends and deserving of friends. Everybody should have friends. Like, and oh my God, I felt so terrible. And I even tried recording this podcast yesterday after I'd said something, but like my throat chakra was completely blocked because I was so stressed about it. And I did need some external validation that what I did was the right decision. And for that, I do go to my mom and I do go to my boyfriend and I do go to my best friend to say, is this am I doing the right thing? And well, sometimes we all need external validation, right? And all three of them agreed, like, no, you are right. You have a career and this is your career. This is your personal life. You have to keep the two separate and for your own sanity, especially in this kind of job. I mean, like, you are helping people with like the deepest parts of their life, right? And if you cross a certain boundary, sometimes that leaks into your personal life, that leaks into your fun, that leaks into other things, and then it starts draining you on a certain level. And it's not fair for us to do that to ourselves, and it's not fair for us to do that to that person because then you could end up resenting each other, and it's just not a healthy place to be. So that's why when they tell you in those courses, do not be friends with your clients. And some people are, some people do choose to cross that line, but I am not a person that's comfortable enough doing that because I like to keep my professional life professional and I like to keep my personal life personal. And to me, there's just not a gray area. So getting that out feels really good because it seriously, I felt really terrible. I really, truly did feel absolutely terrible because I've not only lost this person as a potential friend, but I've lost this person as a client as well. And it is what it is, and things happen. But my clients in the past have been strictly professional. Like even my clients felt that way. Like my clients understood and knew and wanted to keep that separate because it can create muck and you don't need muck. So yeah. So it took me a few days to tell them that, and I probably shouldn't have waited so long either. But the people pleasing side of me really didn't want to disappoint them and make them feel bad, and I didn't know how to get that out. I was feeling so guilty taking it back. Didn't want to hurt them at all. I didn't want to seem cold or mean or there was no judgment from me to this person. And I my brain goes, I want to help this person. I want to help everybody. I want to be there for everybody. But at the end of the day, this is a career. This is my job. It's I I have to make sure that I am doing things to also, I have to also make money, right? Which that does sound bad, but it's a career. It's my job. It's how if I help everybody for free, also like if somebody becomes a friend, I don't want to charge them and then all of a sudden it's like, well, now I'm not making money to pay my bills to, you know. So I understand in like my head and getting it out, I still have that throat chakra block because I don't like upsetting people. I really don't. But shouldn't we be more concerned about upsetting ourselves and not being true to ourselves and not respecting our own boundaries? Because I totally did not respect my own boundaries and I should have. But, if someone needs consistent emotional support, it's a client dynamic, not a friendship. And blurring the lines hurts both people. And if I didn't set that boundary now, it's not fair to either of us. And I know I stated that before, but it's truly not fair to either of us. And just because, being nice does not equal being honest. I think the most authentic thing to do is to be honest. And unfortunately, sometimes honesty is not nice. And in the end it ends up being the nice thing to do, but in that time it doesn't feel nice and it doesn't feel good. And I felt so icky about it. I truly did. I don't really like using the word icky, and I don't like sounding like the girl from How I Met Your Mother, boats, boats, boats. But I feel like boats, boats, boats right now because I felt icky. And but also I have to remember, like, I'm allowed to change my mind, right? I am allowed to say, "Oh my gosh, we could do this and that," and be like, "Oh, actually, I'm so sorry. I have to go back on my word because I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to say that." Like, and and I'm correcting it, and I have to remember, like, I'm not a bad person for doing that. I would be a bad person for not being authentic about it. So I'm trying to be more self aware. And in life coaching, we have this phrase called notice what you're noticing. And it's when you're in the process of healing things, like you might not have the tools to fix it at the time, but you notice your patterned behavior, right? So, say something in your life upset you and you have a trigger, right? So, I mean, relationships are typically the things that people relate to the most when it comes to triggers. So, if we're going to have a hypothetical situation and Eric's downstairs so he's going to hear this anyway. So, hypothetically, because he is the nicest man I've ever met in my life, um say he did something that reminded me of something that one of my exes used to do, and that triggered this point in me, and I got upset and mad, and although he didn't necessarily mean what I felt he meant, I was like, "Oh, I noticed that I felt this way when you said that, and this is why, because 'cause I'm noticing what I'm noticing and my trigger that happened, and it's not his responsibility to, um, edit himself to control my triggers. It's my responsibility to control my triggers, right?" And some people don't agree with that, but actually, I'm gonna talk about this when I'm done with this story, but triggers, um, I'm gonna talk about triggers and how they're our own responsibilities here in a little bit. But if he did something or even said something that I thought was wrong and I got triggered in a certain way, I noticed that. I notice how I act after I'm triggered, and then I'm like, "Okay, well, next time I know what I'm getting triggered by. I know how I'm reacting. Now I can figure out how to react a different way." So if he said something I didn't like and it triggered me, instead of just shutting down completely, I can say, "Hey, like, this is how I felt when you said that, and I know you might have not meant it that way, but this is how it made me feel, and I'm noticing that, and I'm addressing the situation in a more healthy way than my less toxic trigger moment that I had." Does that make sense? If it does not make sense, you can ask me more on it later, and I will talk to you about it. My gosh, I need to breathe. Should we breathe real quick? Let's breathe because I'm not breathing. I thought these cats would like give me some breathing moments, but seriously, this whole situation gave me like crazy anxiety that I hadn't had in a while. And when I tried to record the podcast last night, I could not get anything out because I was feeling so terrible. So let's generate state. If you don't remember from last week what generating state is, it's when we're doing our deep breath work, right? The first time I did it, if you do watch this on YouTube, you saw my creepy eyes. We're going to continue to work on that, right? Okay, so it's a count of 3 in through the nose, we're pausing out through the mouth. If you are not driving and you are sitting somewhere safe, you can close your eyes. I put my hand on my heart, my hand on my stomach. We're just going to do 3 deep breaths, okay? And help me regulate my energy in this moment. Whew. Wow. Okay. And pause out through the mouth. Okay, good. Are you ready for the next one? In through the nose. Pausing. Out through the mouth. Okay, one last deep breath. Okay, in through the nose. Pausing. Out through the mouth. Okay, how's everybody feeling? I'm feeling pretty calm. It's, yeah. So, people pleasing. So many of us, especially women, and I know people are like, don't pull the women card. Let's be real though. Mostly women are used to people pleasing. We're told to smile more. We're told to not work too much, but work harder. Be a good mom. Don't work too much, but stay at home with the kids or blah blah blah. I know. I think I repeated that twice because I'm still not regulated. But like, if your house is messy, you're lazy. But if your house is too clean, you're stuck up. If you're this, you're that. Like, for women, it kind of frickin' sucks sometimes. And we are taught to be people pleasers, and it's really hard to break that generational expectation of being a people pleaser all the time. Looking a certain way, acting a certain way, not causing too much of a ruckus. It really is a lot all the time. And so, one of the things that I'm trying to do is break the people pleasing side of myself. Now, my parents raised me to be a strong, independent woman, but society raised me to be a people pleaser. And I don't like making people uncomfortable. I don't like making people feel bad. I want to be friends with everybody. I try really hard to make an open and healthy, balanced place for everyone. And unfortunately, it's just not something that I can do and keep my cup filled because you cannot pour from an empty cup. You have to make sure that your cup is filled before you start helping others with their things. And so, in order to keep your cup filled, you have to make sure that you are setting boundaries. And sometimes those boundaries are learning to use the word no. And no is the shortest word that people hate to hear the most. So, when trying to stop people pleasing, it's a fight because I'm like, no, I need to respect myself. We shouldn't be people pleasing other people. We should be, and this is not that kind of podcast when I say this, but we should be pleasing ourselves, right? We should be pleasing ourselves before we're pleasing others. I am a 15-year-old boy because I can't say that and not giggle. And I know what I mean. I mean, we have to help ourselves and be there for ourselves and put ourselves first before we put other people first. Before we help other people, we have to help ourselves. We have to set our own boundaries. We have to respect our own boundaries. And we have to stop pleasing people to the point where we are making ourselves miserable. Yes. So hard to do, but it is possible. And learning to say no is so liberating because there has been so much in my life that I have not wanted to do. And now I'm like, if I say yes to something and then I decide later, man, I'm not in the right headspace to do that. I'm like, you know what? contact my friend, contact whoever and be like, "Yeah, hey, I know I said that we'd hang out, but I'm just really not feeling social or I'm just really not up for it tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and cancel." That is hard to do because some people make you feel guilty and they're like, "Hey, you've canceled on me 3 different times." They're like, "I know, like, life is a lot right now. Let me just please understand. Don't forget about me. I will eventually." So don't stop putting yourself first and doing what's right for you and filling your own cup first. Uh, Now I'm going to talk about triggers. And this part is not going to please some people, and I don't care. So this is me being my authentic most self is self triggers, right? I am a person who believes that we are responsible for our own triggers. We are responsible for things, getting ourselves out of situations that trigger us, away from people who trigger us. We don't have to watch the reels that trigger us. We don't have to look at the things that trigger us. So whenever I see things that say, "Hey, trigger warning," I'm like, it's not my responsibility to trigger warning other people, and it's not other people's responsibility to trigger warning me because I need to notice what I'm noticing. I need to notice when things do trigger me, and if things are getting to the point where it's so bad that I'm not able to go through life at that point in time, I need to see a therapist and I need to get some mental health work. And I know some people will not like me saying that, but it is totally true. I don't necessarily think that trigger warnings are necessary things unless it's like a big situation like death or abuse or things like that. But like somebody one time had a video up and it was very a nice video and somebody was like, "Hey, like my family didn't invite me to that wedding and that triggered me. And so you should really put a trigger warning on that." It's like, "No, dude, you're responsible for that trigger. Like, I'm sorry. I'm trying to be there for you and I'm trying to be respectful, but also like that's not my responsibility. It's not our responsibility to make other people comfortable. It's not. And there's a difference between being mean about it and being honest and kind about it because you can say what you mean, but don't say it mean. So that's one thing that I know people are not gonna vibe with necessarily, but triggers are our own responsibility. And if it is getting to the point in your triggering where you are unable to function in everyday life or you can't scroll past a video on social media without getting triggered, seek help for that, please, because it's not other people's responsibilities to control that. There are gray areas to everything, obviously, but for the most part, in everyday situations, it's our own responsibilities to create control our own emotions. Um, we cannot control um w- the things that we cannot control in our outside of our lives. But we can control our reaction to things that happen, right? So you might not be able to control a situation, but you can control your reaction to that situation. It's the same thing. Controlling your triggers, noticing your triggers. Notice what you're noticing. If you notice it constantly, if other people have said, "Hey, I've kind of noticed this habit popping up," um, and they're being nice about it, notice that. Notice when they're saying those things to you. Think, maybe that's something that I need to focus on and healing that part of myself because it's it's hard, you know? Um Setting boundaries is hard with people. Um I have without going into politics, created a political boundary with myself in my personal life. And so I have certain things I will not talk about with people, and if certain things are brought up, I'll say, hey, like, I don't agree with that. So let's not talk about that. It's a huge boundary I have set. Um, there are people I'm comfortable talking about it with, and I do get pretty boisterous about my beliefs in things, but that's not a professional thing, that's a personal life thing. Um, Boundaries, I like to do certain things on my own, and it's not because I don't want other people's help, it's just I enjoy doing certain activities. So, an example would be like I enjoy doing yard work. Yard work is very therapeutic for me. I like to see something that I'm doing and making progress in it, and it makes me feel a lot of pride. So I have a lot of trees in my yard that need cut down. And Eric was like, I have a buddy that can just do that for you. And I said, well, I appreciate that. I actually really enjoy doing this myself. I really enjoy the progress. So while I know that somebody else could do it for me and somebody else could potentially do it faster, I would like to do this. Um, I'll accept help with it, but I need to be the person that guides it because this is my vision and something that I am doing to make myself feel better. I love landscaping. I love landscaping. There's some people who like hate mowing a lawn. I am not one of those people. I could never live in a townhouse ever. I lived in an apartment for 2 years. It was the most miserable I've ever been in my life. Hated living in an apartment. I had no grass. My dog had a poop on a 2 foot by 6 foot area, and then I had to pick up his crap afterwards. I'm like, God, I enjoy my country life. I love sitting on my mower for hours and listening to music and mowing, and I love digging in the garden and planting flowers and watching the bees and listening to the birds. And I love it. It is my therapy time. It's things I want to do myself. And while I accept some help, I like to do it myself. And it's not because I need to be in control or because I think somebody's doing it wrong. It's a therapy of mine. Putting my hands in the dirt and feeling the energy of the earth is like completely healing for me. So come over and help me plant flowers. But I have the vision, I have an idea, I have a vision. I really wanted to be a landscape architect when I was younger. Actually, funny enough, uh, when I was in high school, I had, I'm a kid of the 90s and 2000s, so I had a desktop top computer in my room, and my dad bought me this landscape architecture program, and I designed their entire backyard, and like I designed other people's properties, and I did like skyscrapers, like outside there. There's like cityscapes and stuff. Love landscaping. It's very, very, very relaxing for me. So yeah, that is my one thing. I went on a rant about that, but that's because I was talking about boundaries. And then, like, oh yeah, let me tell you how much I love just working in my yard. But it's true. Really do. Um, but yeah, um, setting boundaries is super important. And it's most important for us to respect our own boundaries. There are going to be people in our lives who do try to cross our boundaries. They do try to disrespect those in certain ways, or they think our boundaries are not there. They don't think our boundaries are there for them. And we have to remember to remind those who think that our boundaries are not for them that more than likely the reason we made those boundaries is because of them. So make sure that if people are crossing your boundaries, you are not people pleasing them and saying, hey, this is a boundary that I'm not comfortable with you crossing. And if you cross it again, unfortunately, you're going to have to exit my life. And I truly mean family too. If you are in a situation where somebody is not being healthy about your boundaries, and I've seen this with my friends. My parents are not this way, but I have seen this with other people's because my parents are very respectful of boundaries that I put in place. And actually, I really haven't had to put boundaries in place because they don't like to um like they'll call me and be like, "Hey, can I come over?" I'm like, "You live across the street, just come over anytime." "Well, I don't want to, just show up." Like, "No, you can just show up. I don't have that boundary with you guys." Are there other people that are not allowed to just show up to my house? Yeah, there's a whole freaking list of people that are not allowed to show up to my house. And if they did, I'd be like, "Yeah, you need to leave." But they are not one of them. They are not two of them. I don't know. My sister's not either. She could show up anytime. I'd be like, "What's up?" But I, but family, there I've seen some conversations with between my friends and their parents, and wow. So there's some people who think that they are uh not that rules do not apply to them. That is what I want to say. Just because they're your family and just because they're somebody who like say they are your parents, that doesn't mean the rules don't apply to them. Like especially when I see like people planning weddings. My gosh, some moms need to like back up and realize their place and realize that that day is not about them. 'Cause that is one thing I see on these wedding shows all the time where it's like, "Girl, that wedding is not your wedding. That is your daughter's wedding. You need to back up. Take a few steps back. You already had your day. You let somebody else control your day, that's not your daughter's problem, it's your problem. Remember that. If any of you are gonna get married someday and you have a problematic parent, it's not your parents' wedding day. It's your wedding day. And if they say, well, I'm paying for it, well, they don't have to. You could pay for it yourself. So just remember that. I said that at 3333. But I don't really feel like talking anymore today. So I'm gonna end this podcast. Um, because I'm allowed to change my mind. I had a sick kiddo today, so I really I'm releasing this at 9 tomorrow, and with my kiddo sick, I almost was like, "You know what? Maybe I'll just put off this week." But I'm not gonna put off this week. I'm still here. I'm still showing up. My boundary I set for myself is that I'm showing up every week to do this, right? Yes. Um, but please share, please please subscribe. I know this isn't the best episode ever, but it was really it's a hard subject for me to get out, and I honestly thought I was gonna cry, and then putting on the cat shirt made me not feel like I was gonna cry, so that's good. Um, yeah, but I'm tired and I wanna go to bed. So, thank you for joining me today on this episode of Alex's Notes from the Middle. Um, Hopefully next week I will have a guest on, and we're supposed to possibly record tomorrow if it works out. So, fingers crossed that it does. Otherwise, it'll just be me back here next week as well. And we're going to talk more about I, I I feel like the boundary people pleasing side of things. There's a lot more to cover with that, but I want to cover more about fear. I just really wanted to talk to you all today about the situation that occurred last week with that potential client because it really ate at me a lot, and it made things a little messy in my brain, and it was kind of taking over other things, which is where I knew like, oh crap, this isn't going to be a healthy thing. I need to like take a step back and know that like I was not respecting myself and I need to respect myself. And we're all learning, we're all growing. I'm still learning. I'm still new at I'm still new in this life. Like there's so much life left and there's so many things that I'm still learning along the way. And people make you think that you learn things as a kid and then you get to an adult and you just know things. And like talking to my mom, she's like, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying my best. And so I try to think of that all the time because growing up, you look at your parents and you're like, man, these two have it together. They know what they're doing. Like, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm a parent. I'm like, and I talked to my mom. She's like, we had no idea. I have no idea either. And I'm just trying my best. And I'm out here doing my best. And yeah. So go out there, notice what you're noticing. Just try to stop people pleasing so frickin' much. It's exhausting. It's not authentic. The world needs authentic, honest people. And I even talked to this guy yesterday about it named Joe, and he's like, I'm kind of like the opposite of you. And I was like, that's fine. I'm gonna get him a shirt that says anti Alex. Doesn't mean he's anti me. He's just anti poo pooing people. I poo poo people a lot more than he does. Just kind of likes to tell it as it is. But not to tell him that I talked about that. But um yeah, stop people pleasing so much. Start saying no more. Start respecting your own boundaries. Set boundaries if you do not have boundaries. If somebody says to you, I don't have any boundaries, it's like, well, bro, you need to get some boundaries. Why do you not have boundaries? Make sure you have them. Um, yeah, and just have a great week. I will see you next time. And I will not be wearing such an epic shirt. Seriously, this thing is huge and I love it. He's He's so lucky to have me, and I'm so lucky to have him. Exchange clothes. I'm pretty sure this was from this thing called Catterday. Yeah, weird dudes. Anyway, have a great night. Have a great day. Whatever time you're watching this, have a great something. And I will see you next week on Alex's Notes from the Middle. Like, subscribe, share.